All right, how's everyone doing today? We are back with another video. For this video, we're going to be talking about the PBK VGC Draft League Season 2. With me today, we have the runner-up for Season 1, Sam, an almost champion. I mean, literally a roll on our match there. So very, very thrilling here to have the one and two guys here. And one and one, I think, is a better argument just because, like I said, it was a roll.
It was a good game.
Yeah, it was. Oh.
Good set.
That was a good series overall. I mean, not it was probably I think my favorite series out of my playoff matches
I think same here. Yeah.
because even it was for
Yeah.
the finals that helps, but like also like the match with Peter, we both just made so many mistakes. For example, like
Yeah. Yeah.
literally, I built Lightning Rod Raichu, and we both forgot about it multiple times, all three games. So it was like
Yeah.
it taints the legacy of the game. But with ours, it was very much just a photo finish fight to the death.
Yeah. I felt like we were both playing pretty well that game.
Yeah, limited mistakes. I mean, both just trying to piece together the margin of victory. And
For sure.
yeah, so with that, we'll get right to it. First,
All
we're going
right.
to just look at the overall tier list, guys, and we're going to go over how this tier list was done. Peter did an excellent job, so shout out to Pete BGC. And PBK in general for building and creating the tier list, and I think they did a really good job on it. So let's go ahead and share my screen. And all right. And oh, I'm gonna move Sam over here, and we're gonna look right here at the tier one. This is gonna be our first kind of focus here. Uh, so looking through it, you got Charizard, Cinderace, Colossal, Corviknight, Cresselia, Galarian, Darm, Dracovish, Dragonite, Dragapult, Dusclops, Excadrill, Garchomp, Glacier, Gyarados, Hatterene, Heatran, Incineroar, Indeedee Female, Kartana, Landorus T, uh, Lapras, Metagross, Galarian Moltres, Nagandalf, Hermosa, Porygon Z, Regigigas, Regidraco, Regieleki, Rillaboom, Salamence, Snorlax, Spectier, Sactaka, Tapu Fini, Tapu Koko, Terrakion, Thundurus I, Togekiss, Torkoal, Thundurus, Tornadus T, or Tornadus I, Tyranitar, both Urshifu Rapid and Single Strike, Venusaur, Whimsicott, and Zapdos. So looking at that tier list, name three that you think are going to go very high.
I think obvious ones are Metagross and Glastrier. Um, I mean, it's hard enough to kill them when you get to like pick six mons out of the entire pool in like actual VGC, but like with limited, like not everybody being able to carry like Rotom Heat on their team, it's going to be interesting to like see how people deal with that. I think probably the third, there's a lot of like super good picks. I think Thunderous Eye is actually one I think will go because it's like, I mean, like team preview, you see it and it's like, well, is it Defiant? Is it Prankster? It gets like Rain Dance, so it can counter weather teams. So I think those three will probably go.
I agree with your first two for sure. I think last year, for example, I've seen it go number one, and then I think it was number one or number three in another draft league that
Hmm.
I've been in since the legendaries came out, and
Yep.
it's so bulky, right? Like you throw the assault vest on it to cover the special side. It's so slow that you're not investing in speed, which lets you throw your EVs elsewhere and just make him really physically bulky. He hits,
Yep.
and then you can also do less attack, more HP thanks to his amazing ability. And if you can grab that next to any type of helping hand or follow me, it's just going to cause a field day of issues for everyone in draft league.
Yep.
Mm. Let's see. You're in your pick from this tier one here from last season, Venusaur. How do you think he fares this draft league?
I think it's super solid. I mean, like, it can't really hit. I mean, it has to resort to like Weather Ball or Earth Power to hit Metagross. So there's that, like you see Celesteela is in tier two, which is insane. And Celesteela walls Venusaur pretty hard, and that wasn't around last season. I think it'll still be good though.
I think that might be one of the sleepers, to be honest with you, out of tier.
Literally.
Um, just because I think but I do think what hurts him is Torkel's also in B tier. So
Yep.
having the combo kind of cut off from you right there is a little tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, I know from last season, like Ninetales is good for setting weather, but like I found myself in like really awkward positions with it a lot of the time. Like I don't know, like I had to put scarf on it for it to be like as fast as I wanted it to be. I mean, obviously Torkoal's not fast, but Ninetales felt a little awkward for me last season.
And the lack of bulk too, right? Like Torkoal
Hmm.
offers a lot more bulk to you. And
Yep.
like with the spreads, if you get in trick room and out of trick room now, you have functioning options because you have a 1-2 split with a slow and a fast.
Yep.
Uh, I think Torkoal is a nice sleeper pick in tier B if someone grabs it for a trick room back round. I
Yeah.
mean, just safely clicking Eruction. And it underspeeds Glacier, actually. You can underspeed Glacier with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, let's just kind of look through here and see. What do you think about Spectier? I've seen a lot of him on ranked. How do you think he's going to fare?
I think Spectre will probably go round one. I think like just the ability to run it, kind of like I was talking with Thunderous, like at least with my like the style I like to go with for my like drafting. I like mons that like you never know what kind of set they're gonna be running. Um and I like that like you can go Sash with like Will-O-Wisp, Snarl, Shadow Ball, Protect. You can like it can bulldoze stuff to like set weakness policies, or it can just like nasty plot Dynamax. I think Clefairy being tier two also makes Spectre really scary if someone's able to pick up both of those. Like you got yourself like a normal VGC ladder core right there.
Yeah, I think Clef being tier two. I think that'll be what's interesting is how the draft goes because some players like me personally when I do drafts, I usually always ignore this top tier B in round one because a
Mhm.
lot of things you can substitute out, vice versa. So, if you want a physical sweeper, right? Like there's a lot of different options. If you want, and especially with this league, with
Yeah.
Drill and Tyranitar are both there, so your main sand rush is kind of gone. But if you
Mhm.
look elsewhere, Tyranitar is probably not a high priority in that tier, but you'll see
Yep.
Dracozolt is in tier two.
Dracozold's tier two. Yeah, I
So
like Dracozolt because you never know if it's Hustle or Sand Rush.
well, yeah, and
Yeah.
sand rush, yeah, you get the weather, and then there's a
Yep.
game where you're battling for weather. Okay, cool. Y'all want to battle for weather? I'll let you pretend to battle for weather, and I'm just going to go ahead and switch to hustle and
Right. Yeah.
put damage off early.
Yep.
All right, so we'll move on from tier one. We'll look at tier two here. We mentioned a few of them, but just going through some honorable mentions out of this tier. You have a Moongus, you have Blaspheon as well, Blastoise, Celesteela, I think is going to be a big name out of this
Yep.
tier.
Yeah.
We mentioned Dracozolt. Duraludon is always pretty much a dangerous mon.
Yep.
Um,
Durant is scary.
Durant. The
Grimmsnarl.
Lattes can do interesting stuff just because not a lot of people have played with them in a long time, especially after the Soldew nerf. But they still do pretty good. A lot of different tech options for them. You can do Tailwind stuff. You can do Trick Room stuff. You
Yeah,
can,
they get both.
yeah. So you can run,
Levitate too. Levitate is pretty good.
yeah, and having Levitate is safe switch into some Earth stuff.
Hmm.
Naya Lego. I love Naya Lego. Uh,
Yep.
you can run it with the Meteor Beam for some really decent damage, and you can actually speed creep uh, stuff like Landorus with it. Um, also having uh, Dazzling Gleam and as well as
Yeah.
Sludge Bomb. So, some
And Trick
good.
Room too.
And what?
And Trick Room too. You
Oh,
can
yeah, another
reverse Trick Room or yeah.
Porygon 2. Yeah. Um,
Porygon 2 and Tier 2 Primarina. We saw what that did last season in Pete's hands.
Yeah, Primarina, and he that was one that he was able to run multiple ways. He ran it
Yeah.
super bulky with specs to make up to allow him to invest in bulk. He's gone to the Dynamax options using stuff.
Yep.
He um Rotom Heat, I think that's a big one there for a really good support.
Yep. Yep, good support and can kill things like Metagross and Glastrier because I think everyone's scared of those things right now.
Yeah, I think those are going to be, and I think that's what's going to be so interesting with this draft too. For me personally, is like having already done one draft and then being in a second. We're about halfway through right now with these mons.
Hmm.
You've seen it in the early drafts, especially last year. A lot of people are drafting fire picks right away just to have their glass
Yeah,
year
for
check.
sure. Yep.
Um, Talonflame, if you want a priority, actually, and you can priority Airstream with Talonflame, so same
Yeah.
principle as Tailwind, but you're maxing and getting damage off, so you're not being passive.
Hmm.
Um, I'm surprised
I
that
think
the Tapus made tier two here.
I feel like Bulu is almost a little weak for tier two. I
I Yeah, I would think that because not getting their terrain moves really did hurt
yeah.
Bulu.
I think Lele is probably like a good tier two.
Yeah, I think
Being able to
too.
being able to set side terrain and like stop fake outs and stuff because I mean most people want at least one fake out user on their team in a draft. I feel like Xurkitree could be a little weak just because like he's so one dimensional and there's so many ground types out there. You know,
An assault
I
vest
mean,
is a thing.
yeah, I mean, I like you obviously have to prep for it, but if someone has a ground type, it's like, well, like it's not like Regieleki that can do stuff even against ground types. I mean, I guess it can dazzling gleam, but
Yeah, and that
yeah,
is
it's interesting. Like the way the tiers are done, it's like there's some mons that it's like there's no way you'd ever pick them in tier one, but they're way too good for tier two.
yeah. You kind of have to have that force where
Yeah,
they'd be like 100% the picks out of two, but in one it's a little bit iffy and situational. I want to look at
yeah.
this and see where he is. Okay.
I feel like Darmanitan Galar is one of those examples. Like, I don't think many people are going to prioritize him as a tier one, but as a tier two, that'd be really crazy, honestly.
I agree. Yeah, I mean that's a perfect example. Even something like say Heatran, right? Heatran
Hmm.
would be a really good tier two option.
Yep.
But at tier one, it kind of does fall to a lot of the issues. Like, right, like what would you use Heatran for as a check to? Yeah, you could use it to check some stuff like Metagross and Glastier, but at the same time,
Even
it's
then, they both carry Max Quake.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a hope for the speed and speed creeps were correct, and
Yeah. Yeah. Archeops in tier two is another one to me. I've been kind of clowning on that in the group chat for this league, and it's like, I don't think anyone's really taking that, but it'd probably be a little strong for tier three, maybe.
I think Archeops is fine. It's also why I think Reggie Gigas is arguably like it's on the border of one and two. The
Yeah.
same reason I put Archeops is on the border because you have to have Worry Seed, you have to have Wheezing for
Yeah.
to shut down the abilities. So because it forces you to have another tech on the team just to use it effectively,
Yeah.
it adds that extra restriction in your team building. Like, okay, do they have Follow Me? Because if they have Follow Me, my Worried Seed is not going to do anything to help me.
Right. I mean, I will say both Weezings are in tier three, so there's always that.
That's why I
Um,
looked. I was wanting to see before we talked about Archeops because I saw it and I was
yeah,
like, let me see where Weezing's at and see if that's
hmm
moderately viable, which I think three is good for Weezing.
yeah. I don't think anyone would be picking it out of their one tier two slot.
Oh, no. Yeah, when you're down to one pick in tier one and two, yeah,
Yeah,
you're stuck grabbing things that you need.
yeah. I think tier two is like an interesting spot because it's like just like tier one, you only get one out of each of them, but like a lot of people aren't going to be feeling at least how I feel, and I feel like a lot of people will probably feel the same way. It's like a lot of people probably aren't feeling as strong about tier two picks as they are about tier ones.
Yeah, I think there's maybe five tier twos that I could really argue. You
Yeah,
know, Draco's
yeah.
might be one.
Yep, Clefairy, in my
Clef-
opinion.
Clefairy is the goat of tier two.
Yeah,
Celesteela in tier two.
Mimikyu. I think Mimikyu is pretty solid.
I do like Mimikyu. I mean, it's almost a free trick room because you can't fake
Yep.
out. You can't, if you have disguise up and follow me, invest in some bulk, right? Like you're
Yep.
safe even without the follow me. Your opponent
Yeah.
may double it, but if you put the right bulk in, you're fine. And then turn around and you're also getting damage off while setting trick room.
Yep. I
Um,
feel like yeah, Primarina, Rotom Heat are both. I mean, I know we already talked about them. I feel like Regirock could do some work in tier two as well.
he is rock polish, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I've never used rock polish on him, but I'm gonna assume he does.
All right.
I
I
can
think
I can find
Regirock,
out.
yeah, Regirock could be good if you have the pieces around him. Though he's a arguable one for me, just because, for example, if you're going up against anything with grassy glide, even in trick room, you're in trouble. Uh,
He
fighting.
does not. I don't think he gets rock polish this gen. Actually,
Oh, oof.
I just googled it. It says it's only a transfer move from Gen 7.
Okay, so yeah, I think he that makes him mid tier level two pick for me.
Yeah,
Because now he's stuck being like, okay, if I take him, I have to have a solid trick room.
yeah. I feel like Suicune is like decent. I just feel like I don't know. The way I look at it is like there's so many decent tailwind setters in like tier three, or at least enough, right? I mean, you got let's see, Aerodactyl. I don't know. Maybe there's not that many, but I don't know. To me, it's like I don't want to use my tier two on a support unless unless it's supporting my tier one. I guess that's just my personal strategy though.
I feel that. Like I wouldn't like for the two if I was gonna take something as for a support reason, like it would either be Comfey for floral healing or priority weakness policy activation
Mhm.
or
Or
Clefairy
Clefairy.
to just
Yeah.
ignore and let my tier one get a chance to do stuff.
Yep. Yeah. I don't even know if I'd pick a Moongus really. Um, like he gets Rage Powder, but then safety goggles is such a prevalent thing. Like there's, it's so easy in draft to just if you know they have an Amoonguss. I experienced this last season. I had both Butterfree and Venusaur on my team. So when someone brought a goggles mon, it made it really hard for me. So
And then you're stuck playing around what mon has their goggles, what
exactly, yeah,
so it makes it risky just to use your sleep.
yeah,
All right, well now we're gonna flip over the tier three.
yeah,
I think for me, just jumping out, right? Literally looking at it real quick. Aggron. I love Aggron. Uh, Steel and Rock typing's tricky to play with, but as far as a Trick Room core, like it can hit super
yeah.
hard.
Head smash is broken.
I love Aggron. It's just really,
Yeah.
that's a really nice Trick Room Pokemon.
Hmm.
Let's see, Aerodactyl.
I think Aerodactyl is gonna be a really, really good 2-3. I mean, base 130 speed. He's a little bit frail, but I mean, like also unnerve. I don't feel like a ton of people bring berries in draft a lot of the time, but like a nerve can make a difference. Um, and I feel like yeah, just base 130 speeds being able to set tailwind is always good.
Yeah, I think berries is very playoffs, right? Like I rock
Yeah, yeah,
because when you're doing like your regular season, usually you're just trying to go for whether it's throw on your assault vest or your choice items or your life orb, whatever. But then when you
yeah.
get to the playoffs and you're really like spinning calc because it's finally like, okay, it matters. What do I
Hmm.
need? Like I've run like I ran Rindoberry on my Urshifu against you
I remember that. Yeah,
just to be able to ignore Venusaur for one turn and like
yeah.
have that option.
Max flare it.
It was all I had, really. I was like, you know what? I can't I'm rocking it
Right,
with three waters and a ground type. Like, what do I have to put a Rindoberry somewhere?
right, right, for sure. I feel like another one that I don't know if a whole lot of people are looking at it, but I feel like Barraskewda could actually be pretty good here. Like it gets a lot of coverage, base 136 speed makes it like you have to have something to deal with it. I mean, it dies to like anything. So there's always that. But it also ignores redirection, which I really like.
Yeah, I like Barraskewda. Also, Auroras is pretty nice for it does the same thing Ninetales does, Alolan Ninetales, a little bit more on the slow side, but
Hmm.
that's another option because it does have a lot more bulk than Ninetales.
Yeah,
So if you're
it
looking
does
at,
have the two four times weaknesses though, which can make it a little tricky.
let's see who else we got. Buffalont. We saw Buffalont last season do some work. Brazilon.
I love my Bronzong.
I was a steel leader, so that's always been my go-to in my gym.
Yeah, I mean I got a lot of mileage out of ally switching it last season, but I mean just being able to set up Trick Room alone, it's like I mean a lot of the times one of the reasons I had ally switch is like literally this serves its purpose if it sets up Trick Room and dies,
Yeah.
like you know, and it's so bulky, like it's so hard to stop it from setting up Trick Room.
Well, and it has, two very good abilities in levitate and in fireproof. So,
Yeah.
having weakness to ground and fire, okay, cool. I'm gonna eliminate one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you were to say throw a Colbur Berry on it, right now you eliminate its dark
Yep.
weakness. You basically only have to play around being weak to one thing if you
Yep.
run, depending on what ability. So that also makes him nice to just sit in there and, gyro ball, toxic.
Yeah.
You're doing the late game plays with like some stally, super bulky stuff. Because some people in doubles aren't prepared for certain strats like that because it
Yeah.
happen on ranked.
Yeah. I never brought this, but I did have I forget who it was against, but there was someone who I kind of anticipated like late it going to like really late game, and I was gonna bring like Iron Defense Body Press Bronzong. I didn't. I ended up scrapping it, but
But it's
again,
always
it's
good
another
tech,
mon that
yeah.
can run. It's a lot. Again, it's another mon that can run like a million sets.
Yeah, which is always nice. Cooper Raja, I love Cooper Raja.
Yeah.
It has great bulk. I mean, being weak to fighting and fire, but it has really good bulk. It's a very easy not tailwind. I'm sorry, trick room.
Yep.
Um, if you use your tier one and you're looking in the back row for something to use Dusclops with, Coop works so great,
Mhm.
right? Because you
Yeah.
can throw that bulldoze off, right? Speed, Coop's going to go right after Dusclops now. Weakness policy activate, and his move pool, right? You get Heat Crash, Power Whip. So now you can run a lot of coverage on him. His G Max move will it break back game sashes for you and put a little chip in. So I do love Coop, and he's so bulky.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like too that he can just run sheer force and like be a mon that is doing a lot of damage without maxing. So I feel like a lot of people take the tier one as like a max mon. You know, like something like Metagross, like I mean, like there's obviously exceptions, but Metagross, Thundurus, Glastrier, like the three I talked about, like those are all huge max targets. And like you got stuff in tier three, it's like Nidoqueen, Darmanitan, Unova is in there, Kaparaja, who all get sheer force, who can do like a million damage without maxing.
And another one right there that I love. Well, there's actually two. The first being Diggersby.
Mm,
Um, Same thing. Huge power, life orb, Diggersby hits like a truck.
yeah, can
Uh,
belly drum if you have redirection.
you get belly drum tech. It also has wild charge for electric terrain, stop
Yeah,
stuff, as well as having coverage. You can U-turn with it. So you could just come in, U-turn, and just get good chip because you're doing life orb, huge power U-turn. So you're getting great chip out of it while being
hmm
able to reposition your board.
yeah, and I think having two immunities is also like really overlooked sometimes in draft. Like mons with immunities, I just love because like they make like bringing stuff as tech so much easier.
Yeah, it definitely does. It forces, the other player to kind of bring those coverage moves, which are going to hit a little less because they're not stab, which in turn
Mhm.
gives you a little bit more leeway depending on how what you run as far as your bulk and
Yep.
your power.
Mhm.
Dreadnought, Swift Swim.
I
Um,
hate this mon so much. I hate what they did to him. Making his Gmax move the water move. So
yeah.
like he can't set rain for himself, and if he uses his rock move, he changes rain away. You know, but that that's just my personal gripe with with what they did to Dreadnought. But I think in draft it's a good pick.
Well, I think the problem with them was they weren't trying to recycle Colossal.
Hmm
because
Yep.
they are both like the two new big cool mons for Generation 8. We can
Right.
get both of them early. They both get G Max forms. They alternate each other as a fire water combo.
Yep.
So they were like, if we're giving Cole the rock side of it, we can't give Dreadnought the rock side too. So,
Yeah.
but I
It's
do
a shame.
agree. Drip limp
I
right there.
Yeah. And I mean, now that Tapus are here, like, I mean, you can get Indeedis, you can get Galarian Weezing, you can get Tapus, Rillaboom, and they all like you can put a seed on Drifblim and make it like the world's fastest Will-O-Wisp and Strength Sap spammer,
Yeah, great
and
tech.
Tailwind,
Also gets
Tailwind too.
tailwind, yeah, to make the
Mhm.
rest of your team fast.
Yeah, and you can't fake it out, so it's not like like that's the thing with Aerodactyl to me is like if they just bring fake out plus electric move or whatever, like it's just gonna die.
yeah,
But Drifblim doesn't work.
yeah, and then um, Scavalier.
A Scavalier is
That
I am contesting this being in tier three, but that's just after what I saw Ryan do with it last season. I think he had in the normal season he had like 14 kills, 2 deaths or something. Um,
the Scav is
this one
such a
is
trick room monster. I use it in my other
yeah.
draft league, and
Mhm.
I have a Scavalier and Aggron.
Okay.
And they let legacy moves in, so I took War Turtle with Follow Me eject button, and then
Oh shoot.
I have a Trick Room setter. So basically, I'll
Nice.
use Slow King, set Trick Room, Follow Me, eject, and then I'll go into Aggron, Bulldoze, start maxing off, and then by the time they focus to and get through it, here comes the Scavalier, and
Right.
that sand damage now adds up. I can just Fell Stinger, start boosting myself, and usually I'll pivot War Turtle back out to Follow Me tank again, and just
Yep.
let Scavalier go off.
Yeah, and it's such a good mon in the back because it only has one weakness, and so it's like, I mean, even though it's 4 times, and like in my matchup against it in the last season, like I was a Sun team, so I naturally had like a good matchup against it. Um, but like a lot of teams, like if you draft like a water or a ground or rock type to answer the fire types, and you bring that in the front and just kill their fire types, you can bring it in, and it's like if you max it, there's not a whole lot they can do.
And also really good on a rain core team as well, because if you run,
Hmm.
some rain options guys and you have geyser tech, just geyser before you lose your Maxmon and set up that back room for Scavalier to be a little bit more safer.
Yep.
Let's see, Alolan Executor.
I think Alolan Executor. I was looking through like low tier mons earlier, and I think Alolan Executor is actually like pretty good because you can set Trick Room. It gets Frisk, which I think is like super valuable for draft.
I like Alolan Executor. I made a team with him a few months, like
Mm,
2 months ago, using harvest berries and just
yeah,
spamming it, and it can work. And you know, Grass Dragon gives you two really nice type coverages for a draft
yeah.
build. And I think
It's a
Grass is
little
important.
yeah. The defensive typing is a little bad. Like it's got like a million weaknesses. Um, but I mean, yeah, like you can use it to reverse or set Trick Room. You can it gets Frisk, it gets Sleep Powder, so I like it.
All right. And the next big one that pops up is me is a sand setter tiered where you can actually use it. Gigalith.
Yeah, and Hippowdon right beneath it.
Yeah, Hippo's right down below. And so I
Yeah,
think both of those here kind of fit together as far as your low tier weather setters that can
yep,
run really nice tech. Hippowdon can do whirlwind, not roll. Yeah.
yeah, Whirlwind. Yep,
So you can so their whirlwind out threats. You can slack off. You can uh, muddy water for accuracy, drops cheese. So you get
yep,
a lot of good tech with him. Gigalith the same, and Gigalith has really great defensive stats.
yeah.
That's actually a really interesting, like max option for a team with a weakness policy,
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
especially in Trick Room.
Yeah, and then like it's only really like bad stat is the Spadef, and if you set Sand, it fixes that. So
Yeah, it solves its own issue, right? Which is
yeah,
always really nice.
yeah.
One of the goats right here, Galissapod. Love,
Don't talk to me about this mon.
love Galissapod in draft leagues. I mean, it has, and a lot of people my biggest thing with Glisspod and a lot of people, oh, emergency exit, right? Blah blah blah. Emergency exit is really good because Glisspod can run pretty fairly bulky, to where you can
Hmm.
take a Thunderbolt and another hit. You can take this move or that move. I've had Glisspod live Vine, the max Vine moves from Venusaur when calc right.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
can tank something and give you a free pivot out while doing its job, which is to just destroy as much as possible. I
Yeah,
mean,
I liked.
it runs well.
Yeah, I liked how. I mean, bringing back to last season again, I liked how you ran the choice banded, because it's like you lock yourself into something and then it switches out itself out. So it's like you're not like, if the positioning changes on the other side and all of a sudden you don't want to be locked into a water move anymore, it you switch yourself out for free basically.
Yeah, I love choice ban on him.
Hmm.
And great move coverage. I mean, poison jab hits like a truck. Aqua jet for priority. You could run
Yeah.
sucker punches for priority. You can run first impression for a +2 priority bug move that hits 120 base damage.
Hmm.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Something that stands out to me is Hitmontop. I feel like, intimidate, fake out. You get bullet punch and mock punch, which to me, and sucker punch, which all three can be used for like different type coverage to proc weakness policies, or like just keep your opponent guessing. Like, does he have bullet punch? Does he have mock punch? Like, what is he doing here? So I like that. I like him on top.
I do like him on top. And because it's all priority, he can run in a trick room team. He can run outside of trick room.
Hmm.
And that's like when I draft, that's what I like to look at is I like to look at having something that can run in and out of both speed tier categories because the opponent sometimes you have to sack it. Even on rank ladder, you have to let Trick Room go up. There's
Yep.
matchups where you have no option, right? And that's why I think the Sun Core does so well because you have really fast Venusaur, you have really slow Torkoal on ranked.
Yep.
So it's like even if I don't kill your Trick Room setter, you're just letting Torkoal come back with an eruption at full health next
Yep.
turn. Because I'm honestly
Yep.
probably going to protect or preserve him.
Hmm.
And guess what? You're taking full health eruptions in the sun.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
I
that's
like, my favorite set is Specs Torkoal. Just deletes everything. It's great.
And then Jellicent, similar thing. Jellicent can run tech or attack and destroy. You get
Yep.
Water Spout, you get Trick Room, you get Strength Sap, you get uh, Ally Switch, you get Trick Room.
Yep.
Um,
Super good.
Jolteon,
I think Jolteon is like a little out. I mean, on the ladder, it's outshined by things like Regieleki being a thing now. But I mean, in draft, like not every team gets Regieleki, so I think having a fast electric type. I mean, obviously, it doesn't give you the same speed control, but like having a fast electric type is always something that has to be prepped for.
yep. And I think another double feature. I mean, just tier three, I think is probably the best tier for me. Uh,
I
Jinx
agree.
pretty fast with not only fake out, but it also gets lovely kiss.
Mm, yeah,
Uh, a nice sleeping move there. And then Kangaskhan gets fake out and
Kangaskhan. Yeah, I think if someone decides to, go the Dragapult beat up strategy, you can fake out Dragapult.
Spectier. You can fake it out and not
Spectre.
worry about
Yep.
it. Uh,
Drifblim. We talked about Drifblim.
yeah, I mean, being able to fake out
Dusclops too.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like Kangaskhan. It also gets Icy Wind, gets Sucker Punch,
Last
uh,
resort.
Last Resort and Double Edge both do like huge damage. So I like it for sure.
Moving on down. Crocodile.
Crocodile is I think Crocodile is gonna go for sure. Um, I believe Frostlass is tier 4. I think. Let me see. Yeah, Frostlass is tier 4, so you can Frost Breath Anger Points it. But I mean, just the ability to, you can do that setup, or you can run Intimidate and be super good, or you can run Moxie and be super good.
Yeah. I actually built a Urshifu single strike
Yeah,
Wicked Blow Croc team.
I
Not
like that.
ago. And it Wicked
Hmm.
Blow on the Crocodile max only does like 11%.
Yeah.
And I run super bulky because you don't have to invest as much in attack with Anger Point. So like
Hmm.
super bulky, assault vest, and just let him go off.
Yep.
Lucario, a nice. I think justify anything with justified in the lower tiers
Yeah,
has arguments. I mean, because you look at where Cabalion's at, right? And you look at where Terrakion's at. There's a lot of things that are better or offer better overall tech, but having a low justified Mon here and Lucario is really nice, I think.
yeah. Virizian's also in tier 3. I mean, it's a little bit further down, but that's another one that I think is probably gonna. It could very well go. I feel like Licka Licky is actually could be interesting if a lot of people are picking weather stuff since it gets Cloud9.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's true.
Yeah, so does Golduck. I was thinking about that earlier too. I
Yeah.
feel like yeah, Cloud9 is like a super nice tech option for. I mean, with so many weather setters out in the lower tiers, especially, I feel like it's a decent pickup.
Especially in draft, right? Because whether we mentioned this earlier too with another tech, but just in draft league because you're limited to what you draft, right? So because you don't have the full pool to counter
Yep.
stuff you normally see on the ladder here, having the ability to counter stuff because I mean there's tons of weather setters, millions of weather rush users. I mean just in this tier alone, we have Ludicolo, Seismitoad, and
Hmm.
um, Dreadnought
Yep.
and
Yeah.
Barraskewda.
And Golduck.
And
Golduck also gets Swift Swim.
hold on, there's four Swift Swim abusers
Yeah.
in one
Yeah.
tier, and
And
having
there's two and
Geyser
two sand setters too.
and two Sandsetters. So yeah, Cloud9.
And Lycanroc is here too.
Oh yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot
Oh,
of stuff in there.
uh, do 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 do.
Polyrath too. There's another Swift Swim user.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
that's
lot.
that's why yeah, I think those two Cloud9s might be. I put those as sleeper picks. I think those are going to be some sleeper ideas from
Yep.
because
I agree.
having one Pokemon that can just throughout a season shut down any weather you might face is
Yeah.
clutch.
And I mean, like something like Venusaur. I mean, obviously it's outspeeding everything when it's doubled, but like it's what base 85 or something. Like that's a really awkward speed tier to be at. And like, and I mean, just the ability to like lead two Mons and then switch in Licky too is that seems like super good to me.
Yeah, because it has really good bulk as well.
Hmm.
Uh, let's see here. Palo Sand, not bad.
I think Raikou in tier 3 is crazy.
And just same as the one under that, Registeel in tier 3.
Registeel both. I feel like those could both be really solid. I could see whoever ends up getting Metagross because I'm 100% sure it's going to someone. Raikou could be a really great partner for it since it can't be faked out and it can set Bulldoze. And it does it get Snarl? Yeah, it should get Snarl.
Yep. I think
Um,
all the dogs get Snarl and
yeah,
Bulldoze.
yeah. So you can Bulldoze and you can Snarl to make up for Metagross's relative like weakness to special attacks.
Yeah. I mean, and Registeel has really good tech. Iron defense, body press stuff. Good max candidate with some other tech. Riolu here, coaching.
Yeah,
Follow me, fake outs. It also
Rain
gets
Dance.
uh, copycat. That copy,
Yeah,
if you use Trick Room, it'll copycat and reverse your Trick Room the next turn. But its copycat is not prioritized to go last. That's the
yeah.
catch there. I actually faced that last week. I managed to beat it in Draft League, but I Trick Room and I brought out Aggron. So I got to use my Bulldoze, and then his Riolu was sped crept under my Aggron, I think. And then so he got the copycat before I killed Riolu that turn, and then reversed my Trick Room and made it a little bit difficult to come back in that
Mhm.
back game. But that's a
Yeah,
really nice just extra tech there on something like that.
yep. I like
Sable,
Reuniclus and yeah, I was gonna say Reuniclus and Sableye both super great support. And I mean Reuniclus can deal a million damage with expanding force too.
yeah. And let's see, there's another rusher.
Scizor, yeah, there's another one. And normal Sandslash too, although I don't know if how much of a priority that's gonna be for everyone. Um
Scizor, Scrafty.
Scizor I think is crazy. It's again like the thing with on a rain team or in the back with only one weakness like a Scavalier. I ran when Isle of Armor first came out, whatever series was after that, 4 or 5, I think it was 5.
Uh,
I ran like a Caesar team on the ladder with a Togekiss next to it, so you helping hand choice band bullet punch, and I like O-code max Togekiss with it. It's
yeah,
like, I mean, I the Togekiss wasn't very bulky, but it's like the fact you can OHKO a Maxmon with a priority move is insane.
yeah, it is. Scyther, Seismitoad, mentioned Sharpedo, protect speed boost shenanigans.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, Another sleeper pick, I think personally, is Galarian Slowbro here in this tier because, like I said, Trick Room, Bulldoze Tech, uh, having Shell Sidearm, it gets Belly Drum, it gets Nasty Plot, it can run Fire Blast, it can run Surfs. So a very
yep,
great move pool on it, and its
yeah,
other, its ability to potentially give you a move first chance.
yep. Yeah, I think all the Slowbros and all the Slowkings are honestly relatively sleeper picks. I just feel like they're all so bulky on one side or the other, and so like setting up Trick Room is so easy. And then like you said, like the normal Slowbro and King have like the Water Psychic, which I think is like a great offensive typing to have. Um, so yeah, I like all of those.
And then Sylveon, good, nice niche here. Uh, Quick Attack, which can now become a weakness policy activation tech. For anything
Hmm.
weak to fairy with it, and it being a physical move, and you're probably investing in special is always nice.
Yep.
Um, Torracat, if you can't grab Incineroar, that's a nice another fake out
Yep.
parting shot, intimidate,
Yeah, and it gets Flare Blitz, so like the damage is really not like you're getting good damage either way.
and your
'Cause Flare
Eviolite
Blitz.
option as well. So now you can still be just as if more bulky than what Incineroar is.
Yep, for
Uh,
sure.
Serena could be something. Ignores priority moves and does get the ice one.
Triple Axle.
Yep, triple axle.
Yeah, it gets great coverage. I think it gets Grassy Glide. Yeah, it does.
It's,
But I mean, I don't know that you'd always want to draft it next to Bulu or Rillaboom, but you could. Type Null to me is solid. I like Type Null with Eviolite. I think it's based 95 in everything except speed. So like Eviolite, it's like stupid bulky, and it's normal type, so it has one weakness.
yeah, and that one weakness is almost always physical side, so you can kind of calc to counter it.
Yep, and max move the max move of fighting is only base is weaker
90.
than all the others. So yeah,
Yeah. Um, Umbreon and Tyrantrum. I love Umbreon.
hmm,
As an evolution, it's so bulky, gets really good
yep.
stack. Uh, and
Yawn is super good.
if you can get your Umbreon in that 1v1 in the back, it can be so hard for the opponent to take it out.
Yep,
Um,
especially if it's in front of a physical mon like foul play just does like a million damage against so many things.
yeah, and has its own health recovery, which is yeah.
Yep.
Weavile, can't be can't be faked out. Really good
Yeah,
speed.
I could see someone picking Colossal. Sorry, I just got to plug my phone in here.
Yeah.
I could see someone picking Colossal next to Weavile.
That's what happened last season as well.
Yeah.
And of course the Weezings we already talked about.
Yep. Yeah, I think I don't know about Zoroark. It can create interesting mind games, especially in a draft. But I mean, I've never been convinced as to how much it can actually do in a game.
Yeah, I'm not a huge on him.
Yep.
Tier 4,
I know
Selgor,
what. Yeah,
goat level pick right here. Uh
Excelgo is nice.
it's interesting max candidate. Um it works for the max, it really does. I mean,
Yeah.
max because it has a nice special attack. Flutterby drops the opponent's special attack, which now in turn lets
Yep.
you invest more in your physical bulk. Unburden, great ability, especially with terrain. I have used my opponent's terrain last season in multiple games because I literally would look and like they have Ndidi. I know you're going to use Ndidi, or if you have Rillaboom, I know you're going to want to use it, right? Like the tech is great on it. I know you're going to bring it.
Yep.
So I just
Nice thing about both of those is it hits both of those super effective too. So it's like, you know, bug buzz does like a million damage to them.
yeah, and you're also I'm gonna throw the seed on and not only get my speed but also boost my special defenses or boost whatever. So because
Yep.
of that, it allows your calcs to be a lot more free and a lot more fun to kind of calc it specifically to do certain things. Uh
Yep.
Also gets priority moves with the water shuriken. I love it.
Yeah, it's super nice. Arctivision, Arctizold, I think are decent tier four picks. I mean, I believe I had Arctizold, and I think it was it a tier five last season?
Yeah, I think it was tier 5.
Yeah, I think it moved up because of Slush Rush now, but I got a lot of mileage out of my Arctizold. I mean, I think it was even better as a tier five as than it is as a tier four, obviously. But I mean, uh, came into play in our game. Like it's its stats aren't like phenomenal, but I like the offensive typing a lot and like just being able to like run because it's like the awkward mid speedy tier. I think it's like base 55 or something or 60.
Yeah.
But I feel like in draft that's okay because not everyone has a base 20 trick room on, you know, or a base 140, so like they probably have one of those, but not everyone's gonna have both. So you can set trick room or leave trick room not up to relatively gain speed control.
I mean, yeah, and the weather rush now helps a lot, and I think yours, and it has I mean, it doesn't have a great bulk, but it's not bad. I mean, you lived a
Mhm.
physical max flare.
Yeah,
I think I only did like I think I did 60.
something like that. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean that was my set there was just max attack, max HP. So I didn't have any like extra in defense, but uh I mean, yeah, and it has quite a few weaknesses, but that also makes it easy to set weakness policy on it. I think I told you this, but my plan for that game was to flame charge it with Nine Tails. Uh
Yeah, you told me, and then
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That never happened, but it would have been cool. Um,
Well, I activated it for you.
right, yeah. Yep.
Air trick, dual weather rush. It gets slush and uh,
Yep.
swift swim.
Yeah, I feel like that one's a little bit hard in draft because it's like, I mean, you'd have to make that like because I want to say, well, you keep your opponents guessing by having two potential like speed doublers, but like you have to draft two weather setters for that then.
Well, not if you're running something like, say, Sableye, who can run almost
Right?
every weather tech setup.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
So that can be an interesting late game tech. And a lot of these bottom ones, the tech is kind of what makes up for it, like Butterfree here, Quiver Dance stuff, and
I
Rain.
think Butterfree's an amazing tier four pick. Boltund also. I got a lot of mileage out of Boltund last season. Um Competitive, Snarl. I think it's based like 134 speed, I think is what it is.
Yeah, he'll be
Um
really good speed.
It's really fast. I ran it most of my games. I would just run it sash with snarl and just like smack everything. You can run it next to a ground type and electrify stuff, so they like you can waste their max turns. Yeah, it's really good.
Credilli, good storm drain
Mm,
option.
yep.
Um, let's see here. Cragnon, Cursor, Duck Trios. Uh, wow. Doug Trio is actually both of these are actually really good. I think for the where they're at in
Yeah.
tiers because they get access to beat up and they're insanely fast, which is always great because the problem I feel with a lot of beat up users that I have when I use them is you got to make sure your beat up goes off first of all,
Yeah.
right? You got to
Yeah.
have that, but then second of all, you also want to make sure the mon you just beat up is actually hitting second. Uh, because if you're going third,
Right.
you're risking you getting hit because a lot of the beat ups don't have the greatest bulk, you know,
Yeah.
especially the big ones, you know, Terrakion and like they're not living a lot of really crazy hits. So having Doug trios here are both really nice because they're super fast. They also get Doug Trio also does get ally switch.
That's so weird. It also gets arena trap, which I think is like a really interesting tech option. Like if you bring something, I mean, if you bring Doug Trio and something with like a lot of offensive coverage, and then they and just like your odds of getting something that you can hit super effective and just trapping it are super high.
And I mean, it's also really good because a lot of people lead their max strategy right away. So by
Yep.
coming in and trapping it with something like the trio, and then having access to stuff like arena trap, ally switch, really fun for like a parish trap lead. To be honest, because now you're getting rid of your opponent's max as well. Honestly, this is what I was thinking about drafting, just because where it's located, it works for multiple stuff, right? Ally switch,
Yeah. Yeah.
parish trap sets, and because it's such low tier, it's really viable for this. And if you lead it and you can get an Alice switch off where you need, you know, the protect, blah, 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 you're able
Hmm.
to just perish trap the opponent's max and lead. And now you have 3 turns of max against their non max stuff. So that's a
Yeah.
great way to just kind of get around certain things you can't check very well.
Yeah, for sure. I think a standout in this tier as well is Guzzlord. Um, like obviously not the greatest mon in the world, but like just I mean, it's a legendary Pokemon in tier 4, so I think you have to give some stock to that.
Yeah. And I mean, we get multiple picks out here. So that's where certain things like
Yep.
that really do work. Um,
Trying to think. There's not to me tier 4, like tier 3 is the best tier in my opinion. I feel like there's not a huge amount of like super solid picks in tier 4.
I think tier 4 is going to be a lot of your like your tech. So like
Hmm.
Berserker and Alolan Persian are both here. So you used Persian last season. Good fake out user.
I I am surprised it did move up to tier 3, honestly. It carried me so hard in so many games. I mean, like you can't kill it with physical moves, like you just can't. Um, like in my game, in our game, or no, yeah, it was. I had my uh Persian EV to live a close combat from Urshifu, and I think all I needed was like 244 HP, which I was gonna have max HP anyway, and like I think it was like 32 or 36 defense, and it lives a close combat from Urshifu. Like
You know?
it's crazy.
Yeah, because you lived that, and I had a bug buzz
Yeah.
multiple times, and then you had the berry on it. So now reset
Hmm.
and Berserker. That's another nice fake out user down here. Also,
Yeah.
it's Steely Spirit. I think is the name
I,
of it. Boost steel type.
yeah. I don't want to think. Excuse me. I don't want to think about like what is gonna happen if someone drafts it like next to Metagross and like switch it in next to Metagross Max Steel Spike. Like that. That's insane. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, and I mean it's a very low tier, so that's a very easy option
Yeah.
for some of the. I mean, even anything really. Like think of Glacier also gets a max steel spike.
Yeah.
A lot of your max candidates have the option to run those steel moves. So A for that, and then you're
Hmm.
pivoting in, and now you're getting fake out pressure as well the following turn. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a nice, really good tech options I think down here with those two.
Hmm.
Um,
Another mon I feel like is slept on a lot in like normal like ladder play is Kling Clang, because it's like it's a decent speed tier. I think it's like 90 something. Gets Thunder Wave, gets Trick Room, gets Ally Switch. Um, I like it a lot.
yeah, it also gets shift gears as well.
Yep. And I ran, I believe it was before Isle of Armor, so series 3 or 4. I ran it on a team with Toxtricity where like the plus minus.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, yeah, and I mean, I didn't do super well with that team just because I don't really know how good Toxtricity really is, but like the damage that I was dealing with, like plus I had a Life Orb Toxtricity next to that, and then I had Magnet. The Gear Up, you give both your both mons on your side that have plus or minus +1 attack and special attack. So
Oh,
like you can gear up, you have the plus minus boost. It's insane.
I've seen that with the Dene in Clink Fang.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, just continuing the trend here. Shinotic, Shackle, Siglip, Skarmory, all good tech stuff.
Regice is decent, I think.
Yeah, Regice is decent. Slurpuff, anything with Unburden is good in draft leagues.
Yep, yeah.
Um, Stone
I think
Journey.
Steelix is good. I
Eh,
like Steelix a lot.
I, sh- I had Steelix last season, and
Oh
I,
yeah,
for me, it was just hard because having that was my fifth Pokemon that's weak to one type.
yeah,
I had four water types. I had a ground type in Palo Sand. I had a ground in Steel and Steelix. It
yeah,
adds up when you're quad weak. When you can bring your whole team of six and just be weak to one Venusaur.
right.
Uh,
Yeah,
but it does. It is good. It does hit hard. It has good abilities. Togetic.
yeah.
Wow. Um,
Togetic, I am 100% confident. I would put down a lot of money that Togetic will go in the first few rounds, probably. Well, maybe. I mean, it might last a while, but I'm sure it's gonna go.
I think Togetic goes in top three rounds
Yeah.
because I think. Let me look and just double check, verify here. You get one pick out of tier one pick out of tier two. Some players towards the back of the draft are probably going to focus on tier two and three and four as a
Hmm.
priority because we're
Yep.
not getting the guaranteed ones we went out of S. So we'll kind of pick the counter stuff and pick to build our core.
Yep.
But, Toga taking four, man.
Yep.
That's a eye turning Pokemon. I mean, Eviolite, Follow Me, Tech.
Yeah. It's super good.
Okay, I'll write that down real quick.
Yeah. I feel like what you're 17th out of 18, right?
Yeah, I'm 17 out of
Yeah.
18.
I mean, I like that. I like last pick, but I mean, yeah, yeah, that definitely does give you the problem of you're not gonna get Glastrier or Metagross probably,
Yeah, and I'm probably
stuff like
not going
that.
to get one of the S tiers that I want, right? Because usually in draft, if let's say there's 18 players, right? We got 18. Usually out of the 16 people before me, 8 to 10 of those are going to take their S tier.
Yeah. Yep.
So that means 10 of my S tier choices are gone, if not a couple more.
And
So
they're probably some of the ones you would have wanted first because other people are picking them.
exactly. So that's why, like, towards
Yeah.
the back half, for the back, like 4 or 5 or whatever, especially being at 17 or at 18, because I'll get one pick, he'll get 2 picks, and it's right back to me. So I'll be
Yep.
picking my picks within 4 picks of each other. So it does allow me to kind of look and say, okay, what do I want out of 2 and 3 that combos together? And I just get a really nice combo right off rip. Or it's like, do I want someone to be able to do that with Glacier, or should I take something to counter?
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and shut y'all down. So it has a little bit
Yeah.
of fun.
Yeah. I kind of, people have like their own opinions on like early pick versus late pick in draft. Obviously, everyone agrees middle picks are kind of trash. Uh, like with 18 people, picks like 6 through 14 or 15 probably aren't feeling too good. Um, like I'm second pick, so I get to pick my if I want to like a tier one right off the bat. But the thing for me is like I have in my mind I have like a couple plans, and one of them involves two mons, and I'm afraid that with 36 picks between my first pick and my second pick, someone will take the other piece.
But yeah, you'd have 32. Yeah, 32 picks before you get your next.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the tough thing. But then it solves itself when you get that second pick because now you're the.
Right.
And I think that's
Yep.
kind of the end spectrum of, if you're in round one, do you take a standout, just superstar, or do you
Hmm.
take part of a combo and hope it's around you? And then in round two, now I can take my combo because I'm right here. If
Yep.
I didn't, right?
Yep.
And then last tier here, guys, tier five,
Everyone's favorite.
the Eviolite Galore section. Cincino, Jodo Corso,
Oh wait, no.
Corvus Squire. Corvus Squire can stand out to be a nice little
Yeah.
thing here. Tailwind, iron defense, body press, roost, EV light,
Darumaka.
Darumaka. I had Dart. No, wait. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
It gets a belly drum for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think Doublade is pretty solid. Um, I
Deli.
mean, I think Dracloak, however you say that, I think that one's a good. I mean, it gets beat up, um, and it's still decently fast. I don't remember what speed it hits.
And Diglett too.
Yep, Diglett's another like fast. Yeah, I mean, Dracloak is still base 102 speed, so it's not slow.
Yes. No, yeah, not at all. Phalanx, Galarian, Farfetch, Pharaoh Seed, Flareon.
Flareon,
Nice guts user down towards the bottom.
yeah, I like my tier 5 picks last season were Arctozolt and Golurk, and I only ended up bringing Golurk a couple games, but like the fact that it gets no guard, so you can no guard dynamic punch stuff. Um, you can also run Iron Fist. That's how I beat a Scavalier, was like because I knew he was just gonna try to kill my Ninetales up front.
Mhm.
So I brought Golurk in the back and with Fire Punch. So that's how I like Golurk. I think the tier fives are naturally like stuff you're not going to be bringing to every game. Like I think if you're expecting Golurk to come to every game, that's a little bit your expectations need to go down a little bit.
Yeah. uh,
Um,
Lampent is actually a nice, interesting here with Imprison
yeah,
and Trick Room.
yeah. I
Good.
like Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan are here.
And Hippolyta.
Uh, yeah. I mean the Hitmons, they get Fake Out. Uh, Hitmonlee gets Unburden. They seem decent. I Hakamo O, if someone does go that Perish song route, like you were talking about, Hakamo O could be decent because he gets soundproof, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Lopunny could be seen because it has the move to switch Klutz. So that may be seen this draft as if someone isn't able to grab Weezing. Because Weezing is
Yep.
a good support mon, I think, overall. So if someone's unable to get that and they needed an extra option to switch stuff out, that might be optional.
Wheezing could happen too. Or not wheezing, sorry, coughing. Uh tier 5 still gets neutralizing gas.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And I mean like, if you get like if you I mean most people if someone picks Regigigas out of tier 1, they're going to do literally everything possible to get wheezing. But I mean if
If
coughing
there's
is an
30
interesting.
something picks in between that, though, that's where it gets
Right.
difficult.
Right. And the thing is, to me, too, it's like, well, coughing is a tier 5, so the opportunity cost of taking him is pretty low because you're not getting a whole lot of like really good stuff out of tier 5. But then, like, you have the ability to like just cancel abilities. So that's a weather counter, that's an intimidate counter, and like
Every,
it gets rid of clear body on Metagross.
yeah. Mhm.
It's a good like diverse tech piece, in my opinion.
Morgrim,
Yeah,
fake
Morgan with
out
EV Light is
screens, fake tears, all the tech, and now throw an EV light on that bad boy and or light
yeah,
clay, depending on. I mean, it's VGC, so in draft leagues, you're not too worried about screens being up for 8 turns, so you could honestly just throw EV light
yeah,
instead and keep him there. There's just fake tears and help out a special threat of yours to max.
yeah, for sure.
Musharna,
Yeah, and
Noctowl.
Mushar's a nice pick. I like Noctowl. Like it gets the was it tinted lens that like lets it hit uh mons that would resist its moves for neutral,
Yeah,
which I think is pretty decent.
I
Um,
Noctowl cost me a game last season.
mm, I think Pangoro, Persian, and Pikachu are all decent tier 5 picks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think this Persian is as good as a Alolan Persian, but it still gets Fake Out, still gets Snarl. Um, Pangoro does damage, and so does Pikachu. Pikachu's a little bad, but
Well, Pikachu's a fun G Max Pikachu, for example. It paralyzes
yeah,
the opponent, and so even if
Lightning
they're a
Rod
ground
too.
type, if you hit the other one, like let's say I have G Max Pikachu, and I grabbed Dracovish out of tier 1 because everything else was gone. Uh, my opponent leads Metagross and or let's whatever leads something in a ground type. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna Gmax the electric move onto their other Pokemon. It's gonna paralyze both, regardless of what their types
yeah,
are. So now that Dracovish doesn't matter, and he can just start Fish's Ren spamming.
yep. And usually that can cover the Dark type too, or the Dark. I meant Ground type. Can cover that Ground type.
Exactly, and then
Yeah,
Pikachu could also be carrying light light ball for extra damage. Pikachu gets static to paralyze any physical moves. Does Pikachu keep Lightning Rod, or is it just Raichu?
yeah. I think it does get Lightning Rod. Yeah.
So now you're countering dual weaknesses, right?
Yep.
Electric on your water type and ground type on your Pikachu. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Sneasel. Sneasel is super solid. I think if Sneasel, if anyone is going for Colossal, I think in my opinion, if I draft Colossal round 1, I would rather take Sneasel than Weavile. Just
really,
because because you can't fake it out, and because it gets inner focus and Weavile doesn't. Um, and also then you're using a tier 5 instead of a tier 3 slot.
that's true.
I think it gets beat up. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because
I
Weavile
know
gets
Weavile does. Yeah.
um, Shed Ninja.
Yeah, it
Um,
does get beat up, I think. Yeah. Oh,
Togepi.
it's beat up is its signature move. I didn't even know that.
Oh, there you go. Starius Fields, Togepi, Torchic, Trapinch.
Togepi. Togepi is one.
Yeah, there's actually
Togepi did work last season. Casper had it. The thing lived a sludge bomb from Venusaur.
well,
It lived. He had max HP, max Spadef, and Eviolite, and it lived a sludge bomb. I couldn't believe it.
wow.
Yeah.
And also just two other last ones here in this section. Wish Cash is an interesting tier 5. It gets Dragon Dance.
Huh.
Uh,
I didn't even know that.
yeah, I used it in a mono water team. Um, so I played around with it and ended up using it for Dragon Dance stuff. I think
Gotcha.
Xatu, I think, is also a nice pick here. Great,
Yep.
great
Does
Pokemon.
that to get Tailwind?
Who used Xatu last season?
Someone had him, I'm pretty
I
sure.
feel like that was Xatu is what lost me a game, not Noctowl.
Yeah, he does get Tailwind.
Yep, it was Xatu that beat me. It had stuff like Future Sight, Tailwind, Air Slash, good speed.
Mm-hmm. Rain Dance, Sunny Day, Trick Room, Imprison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
So that's also a tier 5 you can get as a way to shut down Trick.
Yeah,
All right. Well, that is our overall review. We just went through all the tiers.
yeah.
So before we let Samuel go here, Samuel, can you tell us one Pokemon that you absolutely want to draft? You don't have to, but something that if it's available, if it works out, that you would love to have on your team for this season.
Um, without revealing too much of my strategy, I think. Well, if you're talking I want to draft Garchomp because it's my favorite Pokemon. I don't think I'm going to just because I just feel like there's better options. I think if you're talking like something I would actually pick, I really, really like the look of Kartana in Tier 1. We didn't really talk about it, but I think Kartana will be super solid.
I agree. Carton is a pretty nice pick.
Stack Attacker as well. We didn't talk about that one either. Um, yeah, I'd say Cartana is up there for me.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it, guys.
Yeah,
Cartana may be with Sam this season coming up.
we'll see.
All right. And with that, guys, thank you for watching. I
All
hope
right,
you enjoyed our breakdown of this. Be sure to give a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We'll be doing a lot of draft content throughout this season. And we're going to hope to retain our title or at least make it back to the finals. And
all right.